As this season of SRO America Championship Racing in the World Challenge category has unfolded at each and every next event, one of the races that's most anticipated is the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint Race. That energy is equally amped up here as we head into the final weekend of the championship by one of the most compelling points battles on the pro side of things of any of the SRO Motorsports America Championships. Welcome everybody to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint 14th round of the championship, presented run by Cirque du Soleil. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. We have Ryan Marine down in the pit area, and we are getting ready to go on this one. And this category, Cal, has just produced some spectacular racing. And at the sharp end of things, the points are equally intense.
It's been so fierce all season long, and at the start of the year, you'd have to say the favorites were Michael Cooper, Spencer Blancpain, and Ian James. Well, they line up 1, 2, 3 in the points. They're separated by just 8.5 points, and they're 1, 2, 3 on the grid here today. So certainly the cream has risen to the top, and it's going to be a fascinating battle. But in qualifying yesterday, Spencer Blancpain had a distinct edge in his Porsche Cayman over the other competitors. Let's see how that plays out in the race today.
A couple of spoilers in this field as well. Matt Brabham in the number 20 CRP Porsche. He is somebody that has run a few races already this year, so he could potentially steal some points. He qualified 4th, qualified 5th. Shane Lewis, not with Robinson Racing in the Camaro, but with PF Racing in the Mustang. He's run races all season long. He could take away points. They look very competitive, and you just can't count out Jared Andretti sitting there in that orange and white and blue McLaren. That car always very competitive this year as well.
Yeah, Jarrett's had an amazing season, just learning the road racing trade, and seems to go from strength to strength. Great team led by Robin Pemberton for Andretti Autosport, and won a race at the Glen this year. So he's looking for big things, getting a lot of seat time in various disciplines around the country, but particularly here in GT4 competition, running a GT4 Sprint and the Sprint X competition with Colin Mullen here this weekend again.
Here's the number 42 of Jade Buford, also running for PF Racing. He's done a lot of racing over the years and been an absolute front runner in SRO America World Challenge competition. Not eligible for points for this race, but the team out and coming out and running. Here is the number 12. This is the G3 Ian Lacey Racing driver, and I'll tell you, he has had an amazing season. Drew Stavely has already clinched the AM Championship, and was talking to him a little bit earlier in the weekend, and he said it's nice to have that done. He said, I'm looking forward to just going racing and seeing just how much I could play with those boys up front.
Yeah, the pressure is off, but nice to see Matt Travis, who's very much in the mix for the Sprint X Championship, coming into a sprint format here. He has the pole for the NOLA Autosport team, and Tony Gaples, he sits 3rd in the points, only 7.5 points behind Alan Brynjolfsson, who's just one row behind him on the grid, and Alan's trying to score as many points as he can. He's very much in the running for the Global Porsche Cup Championship.
There he is, and he can be very fast at times here for sure. Another guy that I think could be of interest in this one is the defending AM champion. That's Jeff Courtney in the number 99 Kendo Rextoff JCR Motorsports Maserati. The reason I say that is because that's one of the old school GT4 cars, still legal in GT4 spec, no ABS, no traction control, on a track that everybody says is just pretty much greasy.
Yes, and we've seen him suddenly come back onto the grid middle of the season, and surprised to see him here. He's really trying to gear up for his home race at Road America and around some other events as well, but he certainly got the taste back, and great to see him on the grid here for the final rounds of the championship season.
I actually walked up to him and I said, of all the races to make the long tow to, Vegas? And he said, I got business out here, so I thought, well, if I got to come out and spend some time, might as well bring the car and go racing. And I went, well, that makes perfect sense.
I wonder if he put it in the carry-on on the plane.
So that is the feel, but we are looking forward to this one. And this is very much the historical scenario for World Challenge competition, if you will. The old GTS class, now this, the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint Championship. 50 minutes, one driver, and getting it done. And it's been an interesting season in terms of the points as you take a look. That's how close we are to downtown Vegas in the Strip. The flux of those top 3 and how things have changed as the season has unfolded.
It has, and coming into this weekend, I mean, Tony Gaples coming off 2 wins at their home track for Black Dog Speed Shop at Road America. Unfortunately for Michael Cooper, he had only half points awarded for that second race because it was shortened due to the weather there. So that's minimized his points advantage, and it really stacks up. He said, to be honest with you, as whoever has the strongest weekend here in Vegas. And right now, Spencer Pumpelly has the pace. We've yet to see what it's going to play out like in race conditions, but on one lap pace, Spencer Pumpelly has been the fastest man here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you take a look at the team points. Black Dog has a 4.5-point lead over Panos. It is that close. And then the Racers Group, which fields Spencer Pumpelly, only 1 more point back. So that's very much in play. And in the Manufacturers Championship, McLaren has a 24-point lead over Panos, but there's 50 points available here on this weekend. So lots of things still up for, I mean, out of all the championships in this category, the only one that settled is Stavely as the Am Champ.
Lots to play for.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, and this racing has been superb this year. Just some great battles at the front, great midfield battles for class honors as well. And we expect the same here over the next couple of days.
And you talked about one of the things that to me has really shown now that Black Dog, after not having a real handle, and they'll admit that, on that McLaren early in the season, looked like the Andretti Autosport team really had that figured out. After that race, the race at Portland, they had a long break in the schedule, and they were able to really get into it a little bit. And suddenly Michael Cooper has really shown the speed we know he's capable of, and he stayed in that championship hunt with some amazing opening laps early in the season when he'd have bad qualifying and yet would be able to get to the front and then be able to hang on to it. But Tony Gaples, who's never been known as a great qualifier, has been laying down some seriously good qualifying runs, like you said, third here.
Yeah, when Tony Gaples qualifies third, that's ominous for the race because he always races so much better, has won so many awards over the years for most positions gained. So you can't gain too many today, but you know he'd love to go out on a high, and you can only imagine the party here tomorrow night if Tony's able to jump up to second in the points.
Oh, you bet. And I had an opportunity to talk to Jared Andretti a little bit earlier in the weekend, and was asking him about the track, what he thought, and I said, I understand that, you know, the marbles, the grip changes, the marbles are offline in LA. And he went, it's kind of what I'm used to every Saturday night. He said, you never know where that cushion's going to be, and you never know where that rut's going to be, and you just have to adjust on the fly. And I looked at him and said, well, then you better win this big, you know. And he laughed, and he said, this is the kind of challenge that I like. So we'll see what he can do here, but didn't quite get the qualifying run that he wanted, sitting 6th right now.
Well, it's unique to come to a circuit that no one really has a notebook on. No teams have really run here before other than the odd person and team in the paddock. But 99% of the teams and drivers, they're seeing it for the very first time. The track evolves in terms of a very green track when we first showed up here for testing and practice on Thursday. Is picking up grip, and that changes the balance of the race car. So even today, these conditions will be probably a little bit better than they've experienced so far this weekend. Who has got the balance in the race car? Who has guesstimated and made the right adjustments to be strong here in this 50-minute race?
And here's a look at the starting lineup, and if you're wondering, okay, they've done a pace lap, but they're not green. Are they doing 2? No. Just decided that start-finish line was so close to that incredibly tight turn-in for turn 1, and there's a little bit longer run on the infield straight from turn 7 to 8. So they basically do a pace lap and a half. Then they will get the green on the infield as you take a look. And it'd be interesting to see what Matt Travis can do here. I think they initially had that car brought in, NOLA Sport, just to get some extra test time in and some laps in. And Matt was really very quick in it, and they were impressed, and I think they said, all right, well, let's have him run it. And hashtag world's fastest. No, we always have to throw that in. That's how the team refers to him.
Look for the Days of Thunder mention.
Yeah, at some point,
we do talk to him.
He'll work in a line. There you go. The lights were out on the pace car. It just continues on at turn 3. Here's where they turn into the infield. And as they come out of turn 7, they're supposed to be entering it at no more than 80 K per hour. And the stewards have said once you exit 7, you can roll into it up to about 110.
I think Cooper's going to be going for it. You can run the outside line into the left-hander, turn 8. And I think he's got to put it on the line. He recognizes that Pumpelly has a fast car, and if he gets out front, he may be able to manage that race, and he cannot afford to get that points deficit cut here. So look for that black McLaren from the front row to try and get a jump here.
If that group up front, none of them are going to be easily intimidated.
Pumpelly's gone.
There we go. Boy, did he just jumped. Got into it. Green flag. Cooper goes. Here is James in the Panos, and then 3 abreast. Huge move by Andretti, trying to thread the needle here.
Oh, big touch there down to the inside. A little bit argy-bargy through turn 8.
The guy who got swallowed up, that bright blue Porsche, That was Matt Brabham.
Tony
Lost
Gables
of
has been
spots.
dropped.
Oh, and he and Stavely almost coming together. Stavely still trying the outside line.
Settling back in here. I think everyone's going for it. Recognize that the racetrack seems to be hard to pass on, so making some opening lap moves, but Cooper's hanging on to Pumpelly. Pumpelly just judged that beautifully. It kind of went out wide, kind of out of the peripheral vision of Michael Cooper, then just jumped on the gas, but Cooper's got a run here. Tough to make a pass, though, down in this very tight brake zone for the chicane.
Here we go. Starting the first full lap at speed. Great start by Andretti, not so great by Brabham. And I'll tell you, Drew Stavely had a huge lunge because Matt Travis in that Nolasburg car was on pole, Cal. And Stavely has a number of cars in front of him right now. And the guy who maybe lost a little bit, Cooper's teammate Gaples, has slipped back. Brynjolfsson, very aggressive in the early going and has moved up a couple of spots as well in that bright yellow number 7 volt lighting entry.
There we see Spencer here just trying to get into a rhythm now. Michael not letting him get away. Who got aggressive on the tire pressure to have the performance early in the run versus late? Pumpelly there a little bit sideways, trying to keep it together. That will give Cooper some inspiration, you'd have to think.
Absolutely. So the top 3 in points, running in the top 3 right now. Andretti up into 4th from 6th. A little slip around Lewis there in that bright orange machine. Matt Brabham.
Ian James doing what he does best in terms of just hovering there and managing his race. I think the key for Ian James and the Panos team is, does that carbon up straightaway speed to be a real factor in race conditions? They were worried about it coming into this race here this weekend, looking at the track configuration before they even set foot on the premises.
Wayne Buford in that hot pink PF Racing entry is just pressuring Stavely mercilessly now. Brynjolfsson 2nd in the class. 3rd is Gaples, and Travis has dropped back into 4th after starting on the pole. You just get trapped in the wrong spot on that start heading down into turn 8, and you can just get swamped.
Yeah, well, Lewis was super aggressive there in that bright orange PF Racing Mustang. And going to the side of Andretti. Andretti had the car control to keep it together there in that first opening turn. Not going to be intimidated. Here comes Michael Cooper. He's got a run on Pumpelly.
Big one here. Pumpelly protecting now. Cooper dives to the inside. Straight lining down to the apex and overshoots.
Just can't make it stick there. Was headed straight for the tire barriers. Had to finds a nice slot to get back in. That was lucky. There was a break in the traffic to allow him back into the sequence, but total commitment there. But just the ABS takes over. The front end goes numb, and he realized he wasn't going to make the radius and get through that corner. Had to bail on it.
Yeah, and you are so right about that gap in traffic, as he easily could have found himself back in 21st.
Wow, he's got a lot of work to do now. Our championship leaders, take another look at it. Total commitment here, down to the inside. He's into the ABS right now, and that just takes away braking pressure. He can't slow the car down. And that was going to be a big impact with the tire wall if he tried to make the corner.
I think that was also, I think he may have rejoined right in front of Mark Clennon, potentially. And I think Clennon understanding, or it may have been Tony Gaples actually, that he got in. And Tony saw what had happened and just dipped the brake and said, go, man, go.
Now it is a big challenge for our championship leader, Michael Cooper. Whew. This was not the way he had it scripted.
Not at all.
And Ian James is keeping the pressure right there. He's not letting this Cayman get away from him up front.
The one thing that we have seen Ian James do so incredibly well this entire season, Cal, is be extraordinarily patient, keep tires on the car, and then be able to attack and be very aggressive late.
Watch Cooper though, he's going to be super aggressive now. He's got to go to the front. He's got to get around this gaggle of cars as quickly as he can and hope for a reset in terms of the yellow.
Actually lost a little bit of ground, and Brynjolfsson defending big time here. Cooper's going to try and just sweep the outside.
Can't quite make it stick. He's got a lot of tough competitors right in front of him. No one's going to make it easy for him.
I mean, Brynjolfsson's tough. Buford, you know how fast he is. Stavely, I mean, it's going to be a long 44 minutes.
It's going to be fun, though.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So
for us.
Michael, for us, yeah.
as we're watching Cooper trying to do anything he can to get through this field, let's check in with Ryan.
Team manager for Black Dog Speed Shop is Ray Sorensen. We saw Michael give it a go. He gave it all he could. What do you think?
We'll just have to see if we can get back up there in the mix of it. Obviously it's just got to take some risk here, and obviously early on. So we'll just have to see if we can hang in there.
Does it come down to you got to take some risks to win championships? Is that what we saw?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's a thing about we're not sure if we can stay up front with the tire degradation we got. So take some risk early, but that one's going to cost us.
Is the Cayman better on the tires than the McLaren from what you've seen?
We think so. So we'll have to see, though. It's a long way to go.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks.
Alan, as that interview concluded, Cooper at least able to get through on Brynjolfsson. And the important thing, and we harp about this, but it's so easy to forget, if you're running in the pro class, you're scored overall, not just where you finish relative to the other pros. And so he's got a couple of, he's got one more AM guy in front of him in Drew Stavely here. He's going to try, and Buford trying to get down underneath Stavely.
The good thing is he's lost a lot of positions, but he can actually see all of the cars other than the two leaders right now, right in front of him. So try and cut down to the inside there. Buford a little bit wide. In the danger zone there, though, when you've got two cars battling, how much attention are they going to be paying to you coming up from behind? Mustang side by side. Can Cooper slice it to the inside of Buford? Looks for it. Buford takes the line away. Not giving him any free passes, that's for sure.
Not at all. And you have to wonder, as I said, from my understanding of the rules, Buford is not able to score any points here. And sure, they want to prove what they can for PF and for Ford. But at what point do you just open the door up and say, look, I don't want to mess with the championship here? Because it may end up coming back to haunt you or reward you a few years down the road.
This is where there's a little dynamic and the nuance of a season. Who's been rubbing on each other all season long?
Yeah, good point.
Who's a rival? Who's in your good books and your good graces versus your bad?
Oh, Brabham really slow getting to the throttle coming out of 12, and Stavely, that torquey V8, just dropped the hammer, jumped through, and Buford might be coming with him.
I don't think there's anything that Brabham can do there. He's got to slice back in there, otherwise Cooper's going to take advantage. Brabham really late on the brakes there. Seems like that Cayman can brake very, very late. And Matty Brabham's been busy over in Australia running in that new Formula 5000 car. He and Ruben Sparacallo, ex-Formula 1 Ferrari driver, amongst others, getting some laps there with that new categories. But Cooper now clears Brabham. Moves up another position, so that puts Cooper up into the 7th position overall.
How awesome is it to have a rebirth of Formula 5000? I guess that's a topic for another day, but I love it. Here we go down into turn 3. What Cooper really would like to see is if these guys really get into it and you just keep forcing somebody to end up making a mistake, run off line, and where he could take advantage. Like that, maybe.
Lewis in trouble there. It opens up the door for Stavely. Can't quite tuck the nose enough. And Brabham's not letting Cooper get away.
No, he's not.
Bright blue Cayman, he's coming back at him. That's the problem for Cooper, is you start to move further up the field. The speed is a little bit stronger in each car that you're encountering.
A little bit more difficult to pass, exactly. Not yet able to find a way through here. Up front, Pompelli has a 1.1 second margin over James, who just set fast lap at a 1:42.158. James did.
Play the Jaws music.
Yeah, exactly. Andretti third, but 4 seconds adrift of the lead duo. Then that battle.
James had that technical issue at Road America in race 1, and then had the race shortened in race 2, where he said I had a really strong race car in the wet, but didn't have the opportunity to get into the big points. So it really bundled him out of the championship lead in a big way.
Yes, indeed. Cooper did get by Buford, now is attacking on Stavely. Here's Andretti, and he's down inside Stavely. There's Buford behind him in that hot pink PF Racing entry.
Big lap here for Michael Cooper. If he can gain 2 positions, that's a big move. Puts him up into the 5th position.
Ooh. Buford trying to square up, come underneath Stavely. I thought they may have touched, and it may have pushed Stavely into Cooper. Not the case, but so close.
Great battle. Got Stavely there, leading the AM honors a little bit further back. Brynjolfsson over Gaples, but they're really close, only half a second between each other. See the bright yellow Porsche there exiting turn 7. Gaples not far behind him. Not a lot of love lost between those two drivers. They've had a few clashes over the year. Brynjolfsson wide there through turn 8, just in the backdrop. There he is. Gaples now looks to the inside.
Close again here, and yeah, and you make a good point. Brynjolfsson, Gaples, and Travis, and we've been kind of following what's been going on with Matt Brabham here, and he's dropped a couple of spots. Anything you're hearing from pit lane about that car, Ryan?
Racing, and it sounds like there's nothing wrong with the car. It is worth noting that this is the older generation of Cayman, so it's got an older BOP, and Nick telling me that the car just not quite as fast in a straight line as some of the cars that it's fighting with, and so maybe it looks a bit more dramatic than it really is, but Matt's got no problems with the race car.
Thanks very much. And that's a good point. That's the older version of the Cayman GT4 machine. Doesn't have the power, thus doesn't carry quite as much weight. Cooper thinking about it on Lewis.
And that's the problem when you don't have straightaway speed. You can nail a lap together in qualifying, but then when you get into the racing part of it, you just don't have the raceability to fight. You just gradually see yourself stumbling down the order.
Now for Michael Cooper.
It's going to be what sort of help will Cooper get from Jared Andretti? If he can clear Lewis, then does the McLaren brass go down and tap on the shoulder of Robin Pemberton and say, we really need Michael to move up that extra spot and give us a chance at this Drivers' Championship?
Yep. And I would think that is indeed possibly already even discussed, the way that these things work out. And for Andretti, started the season as an AM, was moved up after the opening few races into the pro category, and comes in here 6th in the points. So it was good. It's been a very good run for him, especially after having been moved up, but not in contention for this championship. So, but it's pretty much an academic point, isn't it? Until Cooper can get through on Lewis and catch Andretti.
He's got a good run here. I'm not sure if Shane's going to give him some room. I think he does. I think there is a lot of respect here between the veteran drivers, knowing who's in the championship hunt. Shane made that easy for Michael. I'm pretty certain if it was any other competitor, it would have been fought a little bit harder.
Yes. But I think you're absolutely right. Shane knows that he's not really 5th in the points, albeit, but not in this championship hunt. That was a pretty classy move. It's not his first rodeo.
No. And up front, it's staying tight between the two leaders. Pumpelly less than a second gap over Ian James. James has the fastest lap of the race so far, which would set pole for tomorrow, which is significant. And there it is. There's the gap. Be fun to watch these two guys over a lap and just see what the dynamic is. Who has the straightaway speed? Who has the potential to maybe make a move?
I was just going to, I agree. I just was mentioning, I was watching Stavely. They've been fighting ABS issues the entire event. He said, we think we've got them solved. And he said, I like this place, and I really feel like I could be quick around here. Well, he's showing it because he's all over the back of a driver of Shane Lewis's ability and running in front of Jade Buford. That's some good stuff, but boy, this is fun to watch.
This is fun to watch because the Panos has just shown, and Ian James driving has shown to be very disciplined and be strong at the end of races over the last couple of years, in fact, not just this year. And he is close enough. A lot of time on the board for Spencer Pumpelly to manage his tires effectively over another 35 minutes.
And with the way that this track is laid out, Cal, with these two big aprons, you've got the north apron and the south apron. And talking to a lot of the GT4 competitors, they said, you know, you combine it, we're in those apron runs for almost 25 seconds. And that's a lot of load on those right side tires. Nice to have this brace of PF Racing Mustangs in here, bringing in Shane Lewis and welcoming back Jade Buford and also James Pesic as well. And Ryan, you're down there with JR.
Yeah, I echo the sentiment. It's great to have the team back in the series. Great to see the brightly colored Mustangs. How would you assess the return so far this weekend?
Well, we're happy to be back in racing with you guys here. Took a brief break and now we're back. running all 3 Mustangs. We feel that they'll be pretty strong here. Feel that, excuse me, it feels that should be strong here. It'll be a lot of managing our tires and brakes, I'm sorry. A lot of managing our brakes and tires here to get through to the end. Shane and Jade running pretty good right now. We've got another Mustang in the mix here, so hopefully we can get by them and you know, be really good here.
We noticed that Shane and Jade were running around Michael Cooper, who is battling for the championship. Was that part of the calculus, how you handle him coming back through the field?
Haven't even talked about it. Haven't even talked about it. These guys are out here to run their own race, and if they're racing each other, then that's just what we're going to do.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you.
And right now, yeah, Buford doing everything he can to try and find his way by the reigning AM champ for the 2nd year in a row. Whoa, slide there by Stavely. Didn't cost him much. He just rolled the throttle and corrected it. But Cooper now has caught Andretti, and this is what we were talking about. At what point does Jarrett say, understand the dynamic, we're racing for the same manufacturer, go on through? Not yet.
Not yet, but down in this next break zone, Michael's certainly close enough to maybe make a move without it being given to him. But, you know, Jarrett, I mean, he's got dogged determination. We've seen it all season long out on the racetrack. We'll have to see if the politics come into play here a little bit and if he makes it a bit easier than he normally would.
Cooper definitely getting a nice run here. Gets down to the inside. How deep will Jarrett take him here? Pretty deep.
He certainly didn't make it easy.
No, but he didn't turn down on him or anything like that. So,
yeah, we're seeing Jarrett Andretti this year with his racing lines. He kind of runs more of a shallow angle and gets a lot of speed down to the apex, and then deals with it at getting the car to work. He said is really the key to that. You need a car that will then turn on a dime once you're down at the apex at a much shallower angle. But it's worked for him this year very effectively.
So that is going to promote Cooper to 3rd. So once again, top 3 in points, top 3. But the issue now is Cooper's going to have some 9 seconds of deficit up to those 2 guys in front.
Well, this is the time that he needs a yellow.
Yeah,
he needs that reset. He's done all of the hard work now. He's not going to catch these leaders on pure pace, you wouldn't think. But if he got a reset, then it's game on again.
He certainly is quick, Mr. Cooper is, but yeah, I agree with you, not that quick. Not up against guys like Pompelli and Ian James.
I think the key is to right now, I think he's got the 3rd fastest race lap. So right now, James would be on pole tomorrow with Pompelli alongside and Cooper on the 2nd row. If he's got clean air, I'm not sure if his tires have enough life left in them to lay down a fast lap, because if he can just finish 3rd, he'd then go into tomorrow's race 2.5 points behind. Well, a win would clinch. So if he can get up on the front row and then manage the race tomorrow, it's still very much possible for him to clinch this championship. James just sitting there. Doesn't look like he's pushing super hard. Car looks very balanced. You never see her really slipping and sliding. And he's just counting down the time. You've got to be careful, though, if there's an incident towards the end of the race, you can not always be sure there's going to be the total amount left on the clock to go racing, go chase down the leader. And Spencer's been in this scenario many times before.
Yes,
Pano's been right behind him with great tire management and taking the points away.
Well, the one thing, I mean, everybody acknowledges that the Panos is it works very well. There's a 1 weak spot in it, and you know, whether it's just by innate in the car or the BOP, it runs out of a little steam on the straights. We have a lot of those long straights here. You're flat out through these aprons, so maybe Ian is just able to manage beautifully, and maybe give us a little bit more insight on that. Ryan, I believe, is with Stephen Pfeiffer.
Indeed, the team manager for Team Panos Racing. The guys are wondering about this track and how it suits the car. We know it hasn't been the greatest in terms of straight line speed this year, but how about this track on these aprons? Is it manageable?
Well, the good thing is here the straights are not too long, actually. They're actually helping us a little bit, because we're not going as fast as we were going like at Road America or at VIR, you know. So it's actually not too bad. The apron is actually pretty good because it's not a straight. It is still a corner and still a turn, which our car does pretty well, the turning. So let's see over the whole race, if it stays green, we could be in good shape here.
We know that Ian is very patient. He reserves the resources to make a charge at the end. Does he feel like he's got a car that can challenge for the win?
Well, he hasn't returned any radio call yet, so I think he's concentrated, he's focused. Let's see, we don't know yet.
We'll let you focus as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
If I was running a race team, he'd be one of the first people.
Bingo.
He's so sharp, such a great personality. He always got a smile on his face, but he is deadly serious, and they're all got their game face on today.
Oh, and he knows how to massage magic out of a race car. There's no question about it. So it's just nice to listen to that Panos too. Sometimes it really thunders a bit, doesn't it?
It is, and you never know what's going on inside the cockpit between both of these very savvy and experienced drivers. But if you look at history, Ian James just seems to come on so strong, and I think he's just looking at the clock. And I think with about 15 minutes to go, I think that intensity may ramp up.
And he will start chasing down Spencer Pumpelly in that Racers Group, Adobe Road Winery, LaSalle Solutions, Racing Series Wines. Exciting times for the Racers Group owner and Adobe Road Winery owner, Kevin Buckler. Working on
Cooper, fast lap.
Oh!
41.9. That is huge. There's no bonus points, but that would be great for tomorrow. It'd only be 2.5 points back of the lead, and if he could control tomorrow's race, the championship may be in his destiny there.
Wow. And you'd mentioned it, and he was able to get it done. And I mean, it's not by a ton. He's what, 2/10 quicker than James? And of course, word will certainly make its way to the Panos and TRG camps going, hey guys, if you got anything left.
Well, the other thing is we said there's no way he'll catch the leaders. Well, at this pace, that lap was 8-9 tenths quicker than the guys he's chasing. There's a lot of time left on the clock, and he's only 8 seconds back. So give him 10 laps at this time delta he has, it would be right on their tail.
Well, and the other dynamic that we have seen play out at times before, should Ian like diffuse a bit, go after Spencer, they get into a big cut and thrust battle here that slows them both down. Yeah, this is not out of the realm for Cooper.
Well, he suddenly unleashed that, and that's got my attention, Greg. In terms of,
certainly.
He has the pace right now. If he can maintain it, will be the key. How much is he, taken out of those tires to run those sort of lap times? Maybe that changes the dynamic for Ian James. I mean, once the Panos team says that, say, don't hang around too long, otherwise you're going to have Cooper on your tail in about 10 to 15 more minutes. What a chess match this is.
This is exciting. So much on the line, and one mistake is totally throw this completely out.
The Cayman just seems to be up on its heels a little bit more through that chicane.
Yep.
Pano's just planted. This is that corner that Stefan is relating to, where it is a corner. There's a lot of cornering load, so probably means late in the going with a little bit of tire deck. It's not wide open in one of these GT4 cars, and that could play into Ian James' hand as well.
Alex Stebbins line. Well, he hasn't returned any of our calls yet. Obviously, he is focused and wheeling it. Yeah, that margin now, 7 tenths, or 7 seconds, last lap by from James to Cooper.
Yeah, that's a big swing.
It is. It is. I mean, James responding a little bit, but Cooper's still half a second faster.
Yeah, James has ramped up the intensity, and I wonder if that's being driven by the fact that Cooper's up to third, laying down fast laps. Just being this close, and as we've seen today, we've seen a bit more action in this race, but earlier races today it was tough to pass, but certainly these GT4 cars seem to generate the grip in the right areas, and so many different manufacturers in this class. They develop their speed a little bit differently in different sectors of the racetrack.
One of the things I really like about the GT4 category is there is some aero, but it's nowhere near as sensitive as it is in the GT3 cars, so you can run behind somebody for a number of laps and follow them through a really fast corner, be able to have something here. But boy, I'll tell you, Spencer gets the power down coming out at 12 well, and as a result, manages to just breathe that margin up a little bit. And Cooper now 6.7 seconds.
Yeah, he's definitely catching. Definitely catching. And there is enough, at this pace, there's enough time for Cooper to catch the leaders. It's going to be tight, though.
Buford has been finally, after pushing hard, able to sneak around on Stavely. And Stavely now has a mirror full of bright blue CRP Racing Porsche, the number 20 of Brabham. That headstrong Carlisle entry, but there are those two Mustangs.
Great to see Shane get another opportunity with his program in Robinson Racing. No longer continuing. Great to have them in the championship. We missed them here this weekend. We'll miss them next year, but they're moving on. But for Shane Lewis, we need to keep him in our championship. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of experience, a real veteran driver who continues to run at the front.
And a great character just to have in the paddock. He was fun.
Tell you what, Brynjolfsson's having a great day. That bright yellow Volt Racing car. He is staying close to Stavely, a couple of cars up ahead. You got Brabham not running in the same class, but separating them, and Gaples is just hanging tough all day long. He's been really strong this weekend. And the number 11 Black Dog Speed Shop McLaren.
And Brynjolfsson has really two goals here this weekend. Obviously, he's, you know, with the championship and AM already clinched, Brynjolfsson is just looking to solidify his position in that championship behind Stavely, but he's also here running in the GT4 Sprint X category, and the reason is it's 4 races that he can run this weekend. He's trying to pursue the Porsche Cup.
He is. He's battling Christian Reed, who runs over on a global scale in the World Endurance Championship and in Europe. So points are scaled, so he's not going to score as many points here this weekend as Christian is in his final rounds of his season, but Mike Johnson has been keeping tabs on it, and it's kind of an ebb and a flow. One week Alan's leading, another week Christian is leading.
It's been a while since an American has won that championship too, so that's, all right, a U.S. competitor, so it's interesting here. And boy, Cooper just resetting fast lap, Cal, a 1:41.896.
5.5 seconds behind Ian James.
With 22 minutes to go.
Took over a second out of that margin on that one lap alone.
Oh boy.
Have to feel that Pumpelli's pace is maybe compromising Ian James a little bit and allowing Michael Cooper to go on the charge. What a run this is, what a rebound. Just got overcommitted down in that brake zone, and the problem is once you get into the ABS, the electronics take over. There's nothing that Michael can then do from the brake pedal to get it back under control by his right foot alone. The systems take over. And what happens is, so it doesn't lock the brakes, it takes away braking pressure, and you're no longer slowing down enough. And with that big tire bundle there, right in the runoff area, he had to bail on it.
Well, he did the two things right when that started to happen, didn't he? One, you could see him, he changed the angle and running straight like toward that tire wall just to extend the brake zone, hoping the car would stop. When he realized that wasn't going to happen, snapped it around the other way and was able to rejoin quite quickly. And since then has been running quicker still.
Beautiful there, how much he's using those curves. We talk about it being a little hat there with kind of a peak to it, and he's just on the right side, I feel, of how to get through there effectively with good pace, maximizing the radius without climbing up on top and unbalancing the race car.
Cal, the margin, 4.8 seconds now, James to Cooper. He took another 7/10 off.
Well, he's got the carrot right in front of him there.
He sure does.
This could be intense here for the last 5-10 minutes once he can continue at this pace.
You know, the interesting thing is, I mean, these all three of these drivers are just absolutely top tier, no question. But when Pat Long worked with us in the booth at Long Beach, of the three, Pat had experience racing against Cooper when Cooper was in the Cadillac program a couple of years ago in the GT3 ranks. And Pat said, I'm not super familiar with the other guys other than what I've seen. He said, but I've raced against Cooper, and he said, he's special. And Cooper's only every class. I think he's one of the few guys who's won a championship virtually every class here in
look at that Sprint X title.
Yep. Sprint X, he's got a GTS, which is essentially this category championship. Got a touring car championship early on.
He's top drawer. He's amazing talent, and it's good to see him getting some more opportunities. He's one of those drivers that you're always just hoping and praying that he doesn't slip through the net in terms of the overall scheme of racing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, Brynjolfsson here, that run he's having, he's been able to glom onto Brabham, and he's only like a 1.5 seconds behind Stavely.
And Gables isn't letting him go either.
At all. Travis right there in that mix too. That is and look at Courtney, lack of ABS and traction control and all. You can see why he was champion in AM last year. He's worked his way up into 5th. And the margin 3.9 seconds. He took 0.8 off that lap.
Oh, he's just cutting into this big time. Plenty of time on the clock. Plenty of time. Again, though, you can't count on it. There could be an incident. Suddenly you erase a bunch of that time on the clock. So he's got to go on the attack. But he's also got to think about tomorrow. I mean, how do you manage it? How much are you going to gain by getting maybe 1 position and 3 points? If you win tomorrow, the title would still be yours with the way the math works right now. You can finish in 3rd today, go into tomorrow's race 2.5 points behind.
Yep. Risk versus reward. That's what it generally comes down to. And the big carrot there that can sort of skew that, isn't it, is the fact that 2nd is nice, but 7 points more if you win. And that's sometimes what can get people's attention.
Yeah, if he could get to the lead, that would be huge. And obviously we've got other titles on the line as well with the manufacturers and teams. So he's going to push if he's got a car capable. But as we've seen, when you get evenly matched cars, it is tough to make a move. But certainly going to make it interesting for Ian James. He's going to be looking ahead, trying to make a move on Spencer, and eyes behind him as well in a moment.
18.5 minutes to go. We're watching the margin this time as they come through. 0.4 between Pumpelly and James. 3.2 as Cooper has taken another 0.8 out.
Wow, it's really wide there. He has really got a great rhythm going. I'll tell you why, he's got good straight line speed. Looking at the speed traps, he's got about 6K on the Porsche and the Pano. So when he gets to them, he may have a car and the speed that is able to do something in terms of making a move.
I believe, oh, somebody got into the tires back there. In the back of this group. Saw a car in a big wiggle and some body work, I thought, Fly. Look at this, Buford on Lewis. We'll have to see here, and Buford is finally able to go through. Can he hang it onto it through the exit? Yes, he does. But was for Cooper right now, I believe we're seeing a display of what the term full commitment is all about. He's all in.
He certainly rolled the dice with that move down into turn 3.
Yeah, he did. Oh, and it may have been Gaples. Oh, got into the barrier.
Yeah, I suddenly didn't see him right on the tail of Brynjolfsson, so I thought there was a black car. Just caught it in the backdrop as.
That's in the turn in, just shy of the turn in for 3.
He's just
there you go.
The safe haven, I think, around the speedway here.
That's the smart thing to do. So I think he either cut or damaged something that left front. Not surprisingly, that's where he would have got into him.
Yeah, I wonder if he just got into that tire bundle or clipped the edge of the wall there as he exited turn 2.
Yeah, exactly. And the margin, just to update you, 2.1 seconds. There they are. There's Cooper.
He is a second a lap faster. Wow, what a performance by Michael Cooper on the rebound. Made that little error trying to go for it down into this very corner early in the race on Spencer Pumpelly. He has used every ounce of experience and savvy here to cut through the field without getting into trouble. And just got his head down and has caught our leaders effectively.
And he has used every inch of this racetrack to do it. It's been just brilliant to watch.
Much of his tires, I mean, this has not been a higher tire deg racetrack for any of our classes here this weekend, so maybe he's okay. Typically you'd say, well, he's just used his car up to get there. Now he doesn't have a sharp enough knife for the fight.
Oh, and it's actually the left rear damage on that car. So we was so far out of our frame, you couldn't tell if he nosed in or
well, I
the car
don't
rotated
see a lot of bodywork
I
down
don't
it,
either.
so I wonder if the tire just got cut. I mean, I don't see where he's hit the wall to create that damage. Do you?
No, not at all.
The car looks clean.
All right. 15 minutes to go, and The margins at the front, 0.4 between Pumpelly and James, 1.2 back to Cooper. Let's go down to Ryan.
Unfortunately, it's day done for Tony Gaples. The McLaren representative was here watching as the car came in. They took that left rear tire off. He took one look at the damage that had been sustained by the tire carcass, and he said, nope, we're done. So day over for Tony Gaples, unfortunately.
Oh, that is such a shame. Came in here third in the points, only 7.5 out of second. And
I don't think that was a driver error in terms of this issue right here.
Yep.
Because I don't see any damage to that bodywork. There's no way to hit something and that car be that clean on that side.
So I don't know whether something just happened to the tire or whether somebody who was racing him got into him on the side and cut the tire. We just don't know.
Okay, Ian James, what do you have?
Yeah, here we go. He looks, he goes, commits deep. Pumpelly shuts the door. Slows them.
Was there a touch? I thought I saw something fly. Could have been just some tire debris there.
But just that little bit of momentum loss, Cooper is there.
Yeah, he had to go for it, though, because Cooper was just looking menacing. It's going to change the whole dynamic for Ian James in being able to attack and set up Spencer.
And remember, if you watched the race at Watkins Glen when James got into I think it was into Pumpelly, and it ended up backing off, letting him go through. So Ian understands the dynamic, and Pumpelly is going to fight for everything. But look at the run Cooper has here. Not going to be able to do anything here into the chicane. But there is that straight line speed that Cooper has, and we'll see here if he can bundle it up and go. He has the toe. He might just be able to do something down into turn 3. He's there, Cal.
He's there, and he's got the pace. He has the straightaway speed with this McLaren. Has to feather it a little bit. That's what Stefan Pfeiffer was talking about. That is a corner there, and the Panos is super strong.
Here he comes in the toe, looks down to the inside early, decides not quite close enough, tucks back in behind.
And this is a very interesting position in this race, because when you're on the charge and you're cutting laps, we take another look at Ian James attempting to make that pass on our leader, Spencer Pumpelly, down into turn 8, came from a long way back, committed to it. And watch, so he's down there, he's up and over the curb. Did they touch? Yeah, something was flying there.
That might be a dive plane on the front of that, right front of that Panos went flying, I think, maybe.
What you have to be careful with Michael Cooper is you don't suddenly get lulled into running at their rhythm, at their pace.
Yes.
You're cutting into it, you're coming after them, and suddenly you just kind of sit there and you just kind of stall out a little bit.
Now, I'm wondering if Cooper did use those Pirellis up just a little bit in that charge, has some time, does he maybe take a lap or two, run their pace, get those tires back underneath them, and then attack? I mean, who knows what's going on? It's only he knows.
Only he knows for sure, and maybe his team knows in terms of radio communication, but nonetheless, you can't count on the clock. You can't count on 11 more minutes of green flag racing.
He certainly gets the run out of 11 and 12. Now down through the chicane.
There's Tony Gaples.
Tony, I'm sure frustrated on the one hand, excited about what Cooper's been able to do here. Remember, he let Cooper in after Cooper's loop. Oh, he might get this run, carry that speed, cut down behind, picking up the toe just a little bit here.
You see him, he has to use a lot more of the road there. He's losing the air a little bit on the front end. He's down to the inside. He's not going to overcommit. James' car is super strong on the brakes as well.
He's trying to square up underneath, but not quite. Oh, this is great stuff. 3 absolute top-tier drivers.
Well, it just set up
isn't it?
When we saw the entry for the season.
Yes.
We were kind of licking our chops at the thought of seeing racing like this. The points are coming down to the wire. And these final laps of this first race of the weekend has been brilliant.
Yes. And it's 3 talented drivers, but 3 different manufacturers in this as well. So good parity, good diversity.
Spencer's managed this wonderfully well.
Yeah, he has.
Is a cool customer. He's used to being under pressure. He will not blink. It's all about whether Ian James can surprise him like he attempted to do on that move down into turn 8. But Spencer's smart enough to give him a little bit of racing room, realizing that he was coming from too far back, but it was awfully close. We saw some debris flying there. What does Michael Cooper have in his pocket?
He just gets there, doesn't he? Just
He's a
needs to.
magic trick.
Oh,
He's
got
right
a nice
there.
run this time.
Problem is, this corner here is becoming more and more problematic. He gets a run there. James has balked momentarily. There's a little bobble there for Ian James, and Cooper has pounced. That was bizarre. Just didn't accelerate.
Yeah.
It seemed cleanly off the corner.
That was all. I mean, that was almost Ian James like the move that he did. You know, assuming that Cooper sold him the dummy to go high and cut down underneath. Now look at James to the throttle to the inside. That may have been a little touch right there.
Oh, that's awfully tight. There's a touch. He's sideways. He collects it. James now looks to the inside.
Cooper's going to cover that. And this is giving breathing room to Pumpelly. James now trying to come up the inside, all over the curb at turn 7. And Cooper just able to hang on, but Pumpelly now, he's up the road by a couple seconds. That was phenomenal.
Awesome racing there has given Pumpelly the breathing room. Only 8 minutes left on the clock, but that's 3 valuable points for Michael Cooper.
Yes.
That means that he's going to have the championship lead by a half point here as they run right now. Just crazy.
It doesn't get much tighter than half a point. All right, now, by James, really good through 12. Gets that launch here. But here is where Cooper eases away just a bit. Watch it here again. This was after Cooper made that great outside cut under move for the lead, but look at the response by James.
He just tucks it to the inside. He could see that Michael's going to be on a shallow angle of attack for that corner, be compromised with his rolling speed. There's a little touch right there. Look how sideways that car is. Ian James, if he had turned to the right, he could have absolutely spun Michael Cooper out, but he chose not to do that and raced him pretty clean, even barring the fact that he had rubbed him up a little bit.
And then could have nerfed him again right there and gave him a little bit of room. It was a great save by Cooper, though.
Now, still a few minutes left on the clock. If he can run the same pace he was doing here a few minutes ago, he still has a chance to catch Pumpelly.
Spencer,
an awesome race.
Oh, it's phenomenal. That charge by Cooper, this could be the drive of the season in many ways.
Cooper 4/10 quicker in the first sector alone than Spencer Pumpelly. He is cutting into that margin of 1.7 seconds when he crossed the stripe the last time.
Here we go. Ooh, Spencer, a little bobble on that curb at turn 10.
Spencer's hanging on. I don't think he has the best car out there, even though he's got the track position, has the lead. I think he's the most vulnerable, but he's just using all of his experience to hang on to this and manage it. Oh, and suddenly Ian James is all over the back of the McLaren again.
And Cooper looked like he got a little wide down into turn 10.
Yeah, Cooper must have made a mistake for that to happen.
He is pushing for everything he is worth right now.
Yeah, Cooper suddenly lost half a second in sector 2, and Ian James gained a second.
Last lap, it was 1.7 Pumpelly to Cooper. This time, 1.4.
And that was with a little error, I think.
Yes.
Time running down.
6 minutes to go. 3 laps there, 4 laps thereabouts.
See there, without running in the aero wake of the Panos, that McLaren's so much more effective through that corner.
Yeah. It's not as sensitive as GT3, but it does get affected, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely a little bit, particularly in that high-low corner. That is a real corner. You look like you're just running flat out. It's not a straightaway. It's not just easy. There's a lot of cornering load in there. It goes on for a long time. You're just hanging on.
That's a good point. There's a difference between flat and easy flat.
Yeah. And I tell you what, there's one area of this racetrack that Ian James is really quick. Look at that. He's all over the back of the McLaren again. Through this middle sector, he has a lot of pace. You know where Michael Cooper would love to make the move.
Yeah, exactly.
Make amends for, oh, Ian James diving down the inside. This is turn 9.
Long, long, long right-hander. Ian, all 4 tires inside of that curb.
Yeah, I think he may be getting a little warning from the stewards if he cuts much more of the track away than that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious to know what happened to the Panos in that acceleration run that gave Michael the run on him to get that position.
Yeah. Ooh, little wiggle there. That may have been some aero. Yeah, that cost him big time.
Yeah, just a little wobble and you're not on the power when you're collecting that, and suddenly the gap is back up again.
And it's a second even from Pirelli to Cooper, and another 9/10 back now to James at the line. 4.5 minutes to run. The penultimate round of the championship, round 14. This is a doubleheader weekend, and the reason that we're running round 14 and 15 is this championship had a one race event at Long Beach. Spin there by the Ginetta of Fred Roberts. Haven't talked much about Fred. He raced for many years as a teammate to Jeff Courtney, and showed some real speed, especially at his home track, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Hasn't raced for a while. Came back with the Dexter Racing team.
Well, we've had some great races this year, Greg, but I think this has to go down with one of the best, between three of the best.
Without question. And the comeback drive by Cooper.
You talk about teams and the unity and the chemistry. All of these three teams truly believe in their drivers. We've heard from Kevin Buckland what he believes Spencer Pirelli is capable of delivering. Ray Sorensen, they love Michael Cooper. Mark Wider, the engineer, has worked with him before to championship wins, so there's great chemistry there. And for Ian James, and the bonding that he's got with his whole Panos team is remarkable. So this is what it takes to compete at this level.
Here we go through the north apron. Pumpelly hanging on at the front. Cooper. Oh!
Pumpelly's in.
Pumpelly
Tire
pits.
issue, maybe.
Unbelievable. Cooper into the lead. James into second.
Right rear, maybe.
He sensed something because it was
Looks
sudden.
like something is on the right rear, maybe down a little bit.
My.
Change it.
Oh, and Cooper an issue. Cooper suddenly slow.
Big time. Wow, what a lap, what a turnaround. Just over 2 minutes to go.
Is that right front? Look at, he's got, yes, the right front.
Can you believe it?
Unbelievable.
He'd been pushing hard, and you wonder with the balance of the race car, if he was coming through that apron section with a little bit of understeer. Now for Ian James, he's just got to cruise. He's got to put it in full cruise mode. Could be a massive swing in the points as Pumpelly now gets back out on the racetrack. Has stumbled down the order outside of the point scoring position, I believe.
Absolutely, and this
is the top 10.
Again, need to remind everybody that the pros get scored in the overall, not just how they sit in their pro class, if you will. And yeah, this is going to be massive for both Pumpelly and Cooper. Unbelievable. You should see the white flag this time by for Ian. Cooper finally into the pits.
Believe it.
He hustled that lap. He had not much left of that tire, but it didn't do any damage to the bodywork, Cal.
The key is, can he get out and stay inside the top 10? Spencer didn't lose a lot of time because he was basically at pit in when he had the problem. Michael had to go basically a full lap.
Final lap, white flag out for Ian James in the Panos Avezzano GT. You see on the side of that car, it says for the fans. And this year of racing for Panos Motorsports.
What a turnaround though, Greg, from being on the back foot after Road America. Now we see Michael Cooper finally released.
Yep.
He was a little stymied there on pit out. There's a car there that had a problem. Michael trying to feel out the front of this race car is going to feel weird with 3 hot tires and 1 cold one.
Yeah, he needs to figure, you're right, absolutely. And Ian James has backed way off now. His last lap up to a 147.3. I just wanted to say that for the fans. This is a team that Dr. Don Panos created and passed away late last year, and they decided to come back and race this year in his honor. And his big thing when he created the American Le Mans Series was it's for the fans, and that's what they show on that door. There's Jared Andretti. That's going to move him now up into second. Buford third. Lewis in fourth, and possible top 5 overall for our AM champion-elect in Drew Stavely, who's kept Bradman, Travis, and the gang behind him here. Jeff Courtney, no ABS, no TC, He's up to third in class.
Yeah, it's been a great run for Jeff here today, but for this man, what a turnaround, what a rebound. Big swing in the points with the two other championship contenders hitting problems late in the going. This will give Ian James the upper hand for tomorrow. He'll have a strong starting position as well to try and solidify this championship lead tonight.
All right, here we go. Through that north apron, onto the front straight. They will come through. He will continue on the oval. Look at the hand out the window. He knows just how big this is. Panos wins at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Ian James bringing it through, and what drama in the last 2 laps. Here's the battle for second. Andretti looks like he's got just enough, and he flashes through. Buford will be third, Lewis fourth, and at the line, Drew Stavely, the AMP champ, brings it home in fifth. Let's see, Pompelli, Cooper.
Pompelli showing in the top 10. Single point, but that's little salvation after what would have been a brilliant victory.
And I think I saw Alan Brynjolfsson took the checker and stopped immediately as well. Maybe he didn't take the checker.
That was dramatic.
Pompelli just coming through now.
What a day of racing. Preston Calvert there just can't believe what he just watched.
Absolutely. We'll be seeing him in just a little while. He's going to be running that same type of car in the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint X Championship. But wow, I mean, the drama here in these last couple of phenomenal race, and then the drama of those last couple of laps. This is just thick. And Brynjolfsson's just, every time a car comes through, he's dropping down the order, so he stopped starting that final lap.
That's huge for him, not
Yes.
only with the position today, but also in the Porsche Cup standings.
Unbelievable. Remember, it was he and Brynjolfsson and Gable second and third in those AM category points. So for Tony, he was thinking, well, that's gone. Brynjolfsson's going to get it. Well, he may have a little bit of a breather here.
Maybe I'll come back at him tomorrow, because neither one will score points today.
Unbelievable. That's why we hold the races, isn't it?
It's going to be a big lead for Ian James, probably around the 17-point mark. He can manage that. And just the car was hooked up. I mean, he wasn't loading his tires maybe like the others. Cooper was on a charge. He was pushing as hard as he could. We saw Spencer's car sliding around a little bit. But this Panos was just dialed in. Looked like he had that little stumble there momentarily when Cooper got the position, but then he came back at him, had a very strong car through that middle sector, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great recognition of the issue suddenly by Pompelli and just diving into the pits. You know, because that could have been catastrophic to have it happen, you know, really come apart on him. It was just flat, not shredded. But for Ian James, just we've talked about his racecraft all year long, and sometimes a little bit of good fortune as well. But the way he manages the tires on that car is just remarkable, isn't it?
Well, he was managing things, but he will not believe what happened in the last 5 minutes there.
No, not at all. I think that fist bump he had out the window, I think he recognizes that every once in a while it's good to have some good fortune on your side. Let's take a look at the provisional results. There it is, Ian James, Andretti second, Buford third, Lewis fourth, AM champion-elect Drew Stavely fifth overall, then Matt Brabham, then Matt Travis, pole sitter in the AM class, finishing in second after dropping back quite a bit. Jeff Courtney coming from in the order a bit, sixth into third, then Pesic, then Spencer Pompelli there in 10th, getting that 1 point. And Dmitry Novikov, good solid run. Only his second race, I think, with these teams. All right, let's get down to Ryan. This should be interesting.
Well, Ian James, you've won a lot of races, but have you won one quite like that before?
Wow, no. I mean, our motto is like we never give up, you know. So even when Cooper blasted past me down the straight, I'm like, I'm going to keep him under pressure. I'm going to make him work that car to the death, and luckily it was the death. I don't know what happened to Spencer, but you know he drove a brilliant race. So, but the Panos family, Dan's here today, and yeah, this really sets us up for tomorrow.
And this championship has been so tight since the very first round of the season between the three of you. This is probably about as much cushion as you've ever had. Yeah,
I mean, it's up and down, right? I mean, I think it's a testament to the championship that us three have been so close. You know, I've had my bad weekends, and now somebody else's turn. So all speed ahead for tomorrow.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Just unbelievable developments here. You can almost hear the disbelief in his voice. There's a look at Drew Stavely, as we said, has already clinched the AM championship, and he was up racing with the big boys in this one and did an absolutely stellar job, especially after they had to chase some serious issues early in the week here with that car. They got it right, and he parlayed it to perfection.
Tony Gaples there. He had a great race, and Ryan, you're down there with the Pro-Am winner today.
Yes, indeed, the champion-elect, so not a lot of drama from that perspective for you, Drew Stavely, but a race win and mixing it up with some of the Pro-Class cars as well.
Yeah, man, as you know, it's my goal is always to be up there with those guys, and to be up there with some really fast drivers in Mustangs is exactly what we want to do. Of course, I wanted to beat them, but I'll take that. It's great event all day. Good job to my engineer, Zach. He got this car working really good. Our long road pace was great. Had a little bit of a brake issue towards the end, and I couldn't quite get that a little extra. But, you know, I can't complain. The whole team did an awesome job. Thanks, everyone, for the opportunity.
And you said you've been dealing with that braking issue all throughout the weekend, and you've discovered maybe it goes a little bit further back than that.
Yeah, we're doing our research right now. It might be just dragging a little bit after the heavy braking zones for the last 3 or 4 races, which is pretty frustrating.
I'd imagine so, but nevertheless, a championship and a race win in race 1. Best of luck in race 2.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, he is just an upbeat character. And the issue he had, I should have clarified that. It wasn't so much that the car wasn't slowing down. It was that it was slowing down on the straights.
Yeah.
And they finally realized what it was, and then it was trying to come up with a solution for it, and they had to chase it a bit for sure. But what a great job he's done all season long, and certainly for Ian James. And just seen some absolutely remarkable racecraft by Ian, and he's just been a joy to watch race this year.
He's such a savvy racer, so much experience. He's been there, done that, and it's been a great battle between the 3 of them. There's not much to choose between them. Everyone's had their good and their bad days, as Ian alluded to, and he just had a really, really good day. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Championship's still on the line and up for grabs.
Can't wait for that one to unfold. As you said, the opportunity to watch these guys race again. They've put on shows like this. This could have been the best, but they have put on shows very close to this numerous times this year. There's no reason to think that they won't do it again when we drop the green flag tomorrow for the Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint Championship here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, run by Cirque du Soleil. Let's take a look at some highlights, and there were aplenty. And at the start, Spencer Pumpelly just got the jump, did what he needed to do, went for it right off the bat here. Cooper tucking in, working the outside.
Shane Lewis and that bright orange Mustang into the side of Andretti. Cars flying everywhere. Everyone just gets through relatively unscathed. Then a big moment here. Cooper way deep on the brakes, gets into the ABS, has to bail on it. Then he's in recovery mode.
And look at that. There, Tony Gaples hit the brakes, said, get in there, go. And boy, did Cooper go.
He did. He was slicing and dicing. We said you couldn't pass on this racetrack. Well, guess what? He could.
Yeah, he found ways. He worked through, then finally made this move. And the number 50 of Ian James tried to come back underneath. And there was a little bit of a little touch there. There was going to be another one right at the apex here. 4. Great save by Cooper. Gathered it up, but this wasn't done yet.
No, it wasn't, but hats off to Ian James. He could have easily turned Michael Cooper there. As sideways as he was, he could have just continued to turn him.
And then this, Spencer Pumpelly suddenly diving into the pits. A problem with the right rear tire. And then Cooper having a problem with the right front. And at the line, Ian James gets the win, propels him into the point lead with 1 round to go. And that will unfold right here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway tomorrow. Please make sure you tune in and watch it. It should be spectacular.